to talk about The Lord of the Rings, and I think we're going to mention Harry Potter as well, right? But I have to disclose this now that my Lord of the Rings bias is in Tolkien. It's just you can't compare. But okay. So, Tali, tell us, where are you living now?
Now I live in the UK. I live in a town called Aylesbury in the county of Buckinghamshire. So I live in the Shire. I live in a Shire, not the Shire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, happy days.
Happy days, right. And Thais, so tell us your, how do you see the Tolkien, and when did you start liking it?
Well, to be honest, I hadn't read the book before watching the movie, and I watched the first movie on a VHS tape back in, I think it was 2000, 2002, and I was, oh my god, this is like the most amazing fantasy movie I've ever seen. Then I watched all the other movies, like not only the Fellowship of the Ring, but also the Two Towers and the Return of the King. And by Christmas, I asked my parents to give me this little brick.
Oh, that one. It's beautiful. It's a classic.
It's from Martins Fontes, was the first publisher in Brazil. And then I read it, I think, 15 to 20 days. So I was really obsessed. And since then, I wanted to know even more about the fantasy genre and the books and the movies, and became addicted. Guilty.
All right, people. So there you have an addicted person here to Tolkien, but very, very good. So I think all of us really enjoy it and like it. So, and the very purpose of this talk here for us is to regard The Lord of the Rings like the books, and we're going to compare it with the movies occasionally. And just share our thoughts, right? And this is how we're going to do today. Okay. Now, one of the first thing that I wrote down here I would like to talk a little bit is because I have many friends who really don't like The Lord of the Rings, and well, both the book and the movie, but it usually starts with the movie because they say there's not too much action, maybe too much description. Some people say it's a movie about wandering around. And I personally think I could walk and find myself in New Zealand because I've watched the movie so many times. But all right. Do you girls think this aspect of just, depicting things and showing nature and people wandering, and that's very present in the book as well, does it lead to some degree of boredom to readers? How do you think that happens? What do you think?
Maybe for some people it's because Tolkien, he was a writer, but he was a professor, he was a linguist, and I feel that in the beginning of the book, The Fellowship of the Ring, there is a lot of descriptions of the Shire and the people and the habits and the party. And it's because he was, at the beginning, he was more interested in like describing the place because he was in love with Middle Earth. He created this world and he wanted to set how everything was. And yes, it's long, and there is an entire paragraph dedicated to Shelob's Grout, like giant spider. And I was, oh my god, I read it twice. And of course, there's a lot of description. You gotta be prepared for that. Oh, especially for Tom Bombadil, I'm sorry. Yes. And yeah, there's a lot of descriptions and songs, and people have to tell you this in advance, but it's like, there is a contemplation, like it's a contemplative story as well. So I like it personally. So, gotta be prepared.
I personally don't mind the descriptions. Yes, I agree that sometimes they are too long, and too detailed. And I did get lost a few times. I was, when he starts going, oh, to the north of, and then he mentions a river, and then I was like, has he mentioned that river before? I don't know. So so that kind of made me feel a bit lost. But fortunately, we have the maps. So in case you're in doubt, you can just refer to the map and okay, this is what he's talking about, and then you go back. So yeah, sometimes the descriptions were a bit too long. So I was not bored, but I was actually anxious to go back to the main narrative to find out what was going to happen. Regarding the description and then the movies, I think that only helped. I think that in a way the movies were made for fans, and I think the fans really expected all of those landscape scenes that were kind of representation of what that description was like in the books, I guess.
All right, there you go. Yeah. Well, but either way, I think you mentioned something that is really important for readers in general, is because maps are not absent, right? So they're really there, and that plays a major role. It's not like you're reading a geographical description of a place, you haven't been to, but you have the maps to help you find your whereabouts. So that's really, really important. Okay. So given that, I think we have two people with different viewpoints, slightly different viewpoints, right? So one was eager to go back to the main narrative, right? I think this is really, really happening there. But it can be very interesting to know and understand a little bit more about Tolkien's world. What role do girls think that kind of narrative played when it came to people such as Peter Jackson shooting the movie? And I think they really match, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the movies have, the movies have the same spirit as the book. They have their differences, but you can feel like it's there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Obviously, Tolkien did not think of New Zealand when he described Middle-earth. Definitely thinking of other places he'd been to, especially in the UK. Yes, I think that everything that is on location in the films is really spot on. Everything that is not on location that was actually made for the film, it's actually, I think it was not that hard for them to devise what to do, because it's all in the books. So what I mean by that is the streets, the inns, the pubs, the villages.
That's
so
true.
Yeah, Rivendell and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, Rivendell is just brilliant, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. And one of the things talking about the movies that really surprised me, I think it's appalling that they really have a workshop that is, I think even nowadays, still running, and they just make everything from scratch. They literally make it so you can touch it, like the armors and the outfits and everything. They really made everything, so it's real, right? And that's one of the reasons why I think that movie has been aging pretty well, because when you compare that against like many other movies, it's very different. There is a lot of special effects. I'm not saying that The Lord of the Rings doesn't have that, but it's just really different, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how much they spent on that, but it's really, really impressive.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were very attentive to that, and everything they could solve, like with practical effects, they did. Like, I don't know, maybe we are fans. So during the first movie, have you ever noticed Galadriel's eye? Like in the book, they describe it has a glow of 1,000 stars. I don't remember exactly because I read all the books in Portuguese. Mm-hmm. And if you look at everybody's eyes, there's only one spot of light, and hers, there are several, because they put like Christmas lights behind the camera. just to differentiate Kate Blanchett's eyes. It's like,
yeah, there you go. Not really special effects, right? Yeah, it's Christmas lights, so that's amazing.
And it's a small detail. They never none of the characters say, "Oh my God, there are several spots of lights on her." No, it's fans notice that.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So next time you watch it, just try to be attentive to Lady Galadriel's eyes, right? By the way, she has a ring, doesn't she?
She does, one of the 3 elven rings.
Yeah.
Gandalf has another.
All right. So no, I don't think that is a spoiler because people have read 60 years to read the books, and
Exactly.
yeah, definitely, right. Just
it's what I say. If there's more than 5 years that it's there, so it's no longer a spoiler. You've had enough time to check it.
You have a 5-year rule, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, very good. So now let's try to make this comparison: books versus movies. Is there one you prefer, and would you name the reasons why for that?
Well, like Thaís, I first saw the films, all of them, and I decided to actually start reading the books after I saw the last Hobbit film, so pretty late. So I actually started reading from The Hobbit, and then I moved on to Lord of the Rings, and that was that. Yeah, can you still see me when I do this? Because I'm actually looking at my cheat sheet.
No, you're there.
Yeah, I'm there. Good. Yeah, so obviously, although the films are very long, they miss some details from the books, because we are talking about a very, very long book. It's actually one book, one humongous book, isn't it? So there you go. So of course the films are going to miss something out. I particularly missed the very last chapter of the last book, The Scouring of the Shire.
No, wait.
I missed that. It's when the hobbits return to the Shire and they find the Shire destroyed. Saruman has been there.
Yeah.
Not a spoiler.
Anyway, so I thought that in the film, Saruman and Wormtongue's end is not very clear. In the film, it's not very clear what actually happens to them. Not very clear to me, anyway. And it is very clear in the books what happened. So I did miss that. But I actually missed that retrospectively because, as you know, first I saw the films and then I was reading and said, okay, there's more in the book than in the film. Wait. Something I do prefer about the films, though, is the role of women. I think the women, in general, in the books, don't have much of a say. And then people such as Arwen and Elwyn,
mentioned.
They are just there. They're just, pieces of decoration. And then in the films, they have more active roles. So I thought that was a nice thing to do for women. But yeah, these are my general ideas.
Arwen is not even mentioned in the second book in The Two Towers.
Yeah.
There's not a piece like, oh, Aragorn misses Arwen.
Nope.
He's just there.
Yeah.
Having dinner.
Yeah, and being bossed around by Theoden. Well, he's the king, so...
King Theoden, please. Island. All right.
Yes, but I don't miss, the Shire being attacked at the end. Not in the book, it's okay. It's perfect, but during the movie, it's it's a long story, and then there are several wrap-ups, and then they're all happy, they return, and then we have more story. People would be like, oh my God, during the movie. It wouldn't fit there, but it is a good story. And about Saruman and Wormtongue, in the extended version, my extended versions are there, you see, at the very beginning of the Return of the King, there is like their ending. They talk to.
They decided
the
to.
guys.
Yeah.
I recommend it. It's almost 5 hours, but it's great.
Oh,
For fans, we don't mind.
Yeah, you just have to get some food to do that along the way, right?
Oh yeah. It's a DVD. It's a DVD. It's not even a Blu-ray. It's a DVD. So you pause it, and then you have to change the DVD because it's like too short.
That's when you get your chocolate cake for you get the energy boost. I think that's really, really important.
Popcorn and guaraná.
All right, so that's your choice. Now, I'm going to introduce the next topic here, and I think this is one of the things I miss from the books because you just can't have it there. That's the movie score, the soundtrack. I think that's just brilliant. It's really, really good, right? I think because there's another aspect, just like the workshop from New Zealand, built things. So you're just looking at something that's real. You can just listen to whole orchestra recorded, and that's just beautifully composed and so nice. What role do you girls think the score added to the movies, and how much more beautiful did it make it?
What do you think, Tali?
Me? Well, I think in like any film, it just added to the story. What I like is that each character or group of characters or each situation has their own theme. So you know what to expect. When you see the Hobbits, you know exactly what music they're going to play. When they show the ring or something to do with the ring, you know exactly what music they're going to play. And I also like how the same themes were recycled in the Hobbit films. So that was a nice transition.
All right.
Indeed. I like how I think Howard Shore is the composer, right?
Yeah, indeed.
There are themes, just like Tali said, but they also, it works like a puzzle. Because before the Fellowship of the Ring is formed, there is like just a little bit, and then when they are together crossing that mount, I think they are walking, then there is like in full glory. And at the end, there is a theme for Rohan and another theme for Minas Tirith. And then when they are together at the end of the third movie, both themes are mixed because both group of characters are together. So there's a lot to pay attention to.
Yeah.
They manipulate our emotions in a good way.
Yeah, there are so many details. I confess I didn't know that thing about Lady Galadriel's eyes you mentioned there with the little spark. That's very, very pretty. But something from the book that I try to compare with the movies is Frodo's line when he gets like the little Elendil's light from the flask. Then he says something in Elvish there. It's just extra cool repeating that, but I never found the page again on my book, so I have to read it again.
It's a good excuse.
Yeah.
That's your excuse, yeah.
That is. All right, there you go. Now, you girls mentioned The Hobbits and so on. Which movie adaptation do you prefer, The Hobbits or The Lord of the Rings? Please.
As an adaptation, I prefer The Lord of the Rings. Because, yeah. If you see, like, look at the size of this book and look at the size of this book. 3 movies, perfect. 3 movies. Why? Money, I know why. But I don't think it was a good idea to split in 3 movies, but Peter Jackson's not responsible for that.
Yeah.
There was supposed to be another director.
They had to stretch the story a lot. Yeah. So a lot had to be invented, really. Yeah.
Yeah, you've just made me think of a line Bilbo says in The Lord of the Rings. I don't remember exactly when he says that, but he feels like just some butter being spread on the toast. Do you remember that?
Piece of toast that it's too big.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's the
there you
definition of The Hobbit.
go.
But it's not a bad movie.
No,
They are not bad movies, actually. They're just
no,
long.
Yeah, Gandalf
Yeah.
is there, Ian McKellen, and
no.
well,
I think the
Christopher
choice of
Lee.
Martin Freeman to play Bilbo was just spot on.
yeah.
I don't think Bilbo could have been played by anybody else.
Mhm.
So
That was just brilliant, right? Okay,
Mhm.
there you go. All right. Now, talking about adaptations and everything, Tali, you've just brought up the topic that Amazon is going to
hmm.
bring about the series on Tolkien's world. Can you talk a little bit more about that? There.
Yeah, I haven't heard much about it, to be honest. They're still producing it. It's going, well, they've already disclosed who the actors involved are. It's a lot more diverse cast
Okay.
than in The Lord of the Rings, where everybody's very much white. It's much more diverse. In this series, they are going to cover the second era of Middle Earth. So it's basically Numenor, which is all described in the Silmarillion.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
So
brilliant.
again, I know that a lot will be invented because this is the whole of Silmarillion.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be talking about half of it in a whole series. I don't know how many episodes, don't know how many seasons. So we know a lot will be stretched there again. Yeah, but that's as far as I know. I don't know much else.
So you don't know who's overseeing that, do you?
Sorry.
You don't know who's overseeing that, do you?
Yeah, I do. They are, yes, they have announced the names of directors. Each
Oh.
from what I understand, each episode or couple of episodes will be a different director, like most series now. So I'm not, no, I can't really remember. It's been a while, but every once in a while they announce a little something on their Instagram. It's Lord of the Rings on Prime, in case you want to follow it on Instagram. Yeah. So I was actually hoping that the series would be based on the first stage, but it's not going to be. Unfortunately, it's going to be the second one, which is okay.
No, right. An ignorant question, but I really don't know, don't remember. Are the Numenor the forefathers of Elrond? Or nothing to do, right?
They
I don't.
are the ancestors of the Dunedain,
Oh, namely Aragorn.
the kings.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
On the other hand, that would be Baron Luthien.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So Elrond, his origin is actually told in the beginning of the Silmarillion, in the first age.
Right. I was there
Yeah.
3,000 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are many lines.
Numenor has something. I'm not going to give a lot of spoilers, but Numenor has something to do with Elrond's twin brother.
So they're somehow related,
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
distant.
They might mention that. They might bring that up in the story. Who knows?
Who knows? All right. There you go. Guys, do you know anything about that series?
I know just it was announced, but still like I don't know how it's gonna be.
Mhm.
I just hope it's gonna be good, but I have like zero expectations.
Oh, really?
I don't think it's gonna be horrible. But
No.
I will not be like the person who buys a T-shirt before the movie's out, just like people were buying T-shirts for Batman v Superman. So and we all know what happened. I'll just wait, and then maybe I'll watch it, and then I'll judge. Let's see.
Okay, there you go. All right, very good. Now, something else which I think brought this discussion to take place is Tolkien's massive influence on the fantasy genre. I think that's really undeniable, right? All the other series and movies you watch with that respect, soundtrack it has influenced massively books, movies. I come from heavy metal playing background, and I can definitely say that many bands were largely influenced by Tolkien as well. It's true. Like there's Blind Guardian, just to name one. Okay, people singing in Elvish and Orcish. That's more their language. Yeah, you don't speak that. Okay, how do you see that? Is there any movie series that do Tolkien's world justice? Do they outshine Tolkien anyhow? Can you talk a little bit about that?
I don't think they outshine Lord of the Rings, because every other series wants to be the next Lord of the Rings, so it's impossible to be outshined.
Mm-hmm.
I can name like Game of Thrones. They want to be similar because, of course, there is an influence. I think Tolkien was the first writer that created a world which is different from Narnia, for example, that the kids are from our world and then they are transported to the fantasy world, most like Alice as well, Alice in Wonderland. No, like nobody is transported. You are born in Middle Earth, and that's the place. And I think he was the first author to do that. And then I think the writers are, well, we can do that. Then several other books came out in series and movies as well.
Yeah, this is very much related to Tolkien's attempt to have like a national folklore in the British Isles, right? And what is really interesting is that, as a matter of fact, he just drank from the well of the Finnish Kalevala. They're Finnish folklore stories, and I think this is where you get the tales of Kullervo. I don't remember that. That's a red cover book. Looks nice. Haven't read it though, but I think it's just an adaptation. Yeah. All right, Tali, do you have a favorite non-Tolkien book, movie?
Yeah, but it's not fantasy.
Okay.
I've read the Harry Potter books, obviously. Actually, before I came in contact with Lord of the Rings, I read them because everybody was doing it about Harry Potter. And yeah, I enjoyed them. And then later, when I read The Lord of the Rings, I was like, wait a minute, Longbottom, really? So you know, I could see the similarities and the references. I think, I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, I read Harry Potter many years ago. I've seen the films as well, and yeah, it was okay. I enjoyed it. Not a big fan, but I enjoyed it.
Okay, there you are. All right. Well, you brought it up. Let's talk about the wizard, right? But just to transition here, what are the similarities between Harry Potter's world and Tolkien's, namely the Lord of the Rings? Because I think there was a given moment in which you could find both in the theaters, right? The Lord of the Rings, and somewhat they may have over, I don't know how close they were, but I think they were contemporary. How different and how similar are they? What do you know? I have read The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, but Harry Potter only up to the Goblets of Fire. So I can't compare at all. Well,
Oh, maybe a similarity is that both describe worlds. Yeah, the difference is that Harry Potter, it's a hidden world that exists at the same time as our own Muggle world. So that is also a difference. Another similarity is the types of fantastic creatures, like goblins, dragons, creatures like that. Perhaps that's about it. You have the whole hero's journey thing going on, but that's in so many stories, even Star Wars. But yeah, it's a classic fantasy story, really. Harry Potter, I would guess. Yeah.
There you are. Thaís, any remarks on that? Similarities, differences?
I think they're most similar, like fantasy world, but as I said, like Middle Earth is its own world, and the use of magic, but it's much more explicit in Harry Potter. And the magical creatures as well. The hero's journey in the Lord of the Rings is different. In The Hobbit, I think it's more like related to Joseph Campbell's Hero with a Thousand Faces. I'm reading the book, by the way. And then The Lord of the Rings is different because, I don't know, reading it and like the second time and rewatching the movies after I grew up, I noticed that Sam is the real hero.
Samwise Gamgee.
Yeah.
Like without Sam, Frodo would have never passed like after the river, after he breaks from the Fellowship. I don't think he would have lasted much.
All right. Yeah.
He's the hero's hero, maybe.
Wow. Just get it. Yeah. Let it sink in. Very, very good. Right. I think Sam's most remarkable scene in the movies is when he's just climbing Mount Doom and he's describing strawberries and cream. Mr. Frodo, that's very, very fun. Okay. Very, very.
Oh, another similarity I could think of, and then Thaís brought that up and made me think about it, is perhaps like Frodo could only do everything he did because of Sam. Same goes for Harry Potter and his two best friends, Ronnie and Hermione. So yeah, I think both could also be stories about friendship.
Okay. Yeah, that's very true, right? Really noticeable.
Yeah. And Harry also needed to destroy the Deathly Hallows, same way the ring had to be destroyed.
Yeah.
Okay. Isildur, cast it into the fire. Yeah. We have to have that.
I was there 3,000 years ago.
Yeah. Is there a golem in Harry Potter?
I think it's Peter Pettigrew. He's the necessary evil of the story.
True.
Okay, there you are. So he's there. Very, very good. Harry Potter is, this is my impression, I may be wrong, but it's way more attractive to youngsters nowadays, or, well, there are many people who really, really like Harry Potter and can't stand The Lord of the Rings. I know more people who enjoy or can stand Harry Potter rather than people who have even watched a whole Lord of the Rings movie. Is there any given reasons for this supposed preference to Harry Potter?
Well, I started reading Harry Potter when I was 12, so I was like a year older than he was in the first book. So it was basically like in every year there would be a new one until like the 7th book, and I think I was 18 or 19 at that time. I'm not sure. So I grew up with Harry, so that's also like the story, and the story matured as well. And it was just like, oh, it's a witch, and then, oh my God, you have to save the world at the very end. And I feel that I grew up and I am attached to Harry Potter. I'm wearing my House Pride t-shirt for Ravenclaw, for the Quidditch team. And it's a great story. There are morals, and I think it makes people more, let's say, tolerant, like, because they talk about the differences and discriminations, and another race being abused, the house elves, for example.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice insight. Tali?
Yeah. I think Harry Potter is still maybe more attractive to children, to younger people. Uh, it's well, we are also talking about another child, and a child who's new in a school, and
Mhm.
yeah, so kids can relate to that. You are new in a school, you feel weird. And then there's also the language that J.K. Rowling uses. It's simpler
Yeah.
for children to just read on their own. And I think Harry Potter is actually a great introduction to the fantasy world. So maybe later these children will be able to read and enjoy The Lord of the Rings. Something very interesting is that here in the UK, obviously teaching people from all over the world, and 8 out of 10 students I talk to here say that one of the reasons they are here is Harry Potter.
Wow.
Because they love Harry Potter and they want to see the places where it was filmed. They want to experience this whole life in the UK that they see in the films. And sometimes I bring up the Lord of the Rings, and actually very few of them know it.
Yeah.
Maybe because there were fewer films. I'm sure that lots of these people I talk to have only seen the films, the Harry Potter films. They have not read the books. So yeah, maybe there's also this whole marketing around Harry Potter too, which makes it more popular.
All right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's a theme park as well.
There
in
is,
Orlando.
yes, you have the theme park in the US, you have the studios here. So yeah.
Okay, true. Very, very well. But you have a whole country dedicated to the Lord of the Rings, right? It's
Yeah.
just well,
Yeah,
it's usually for
Mhm. Yeah,
all
it's
of
very.
us, I think.
I was saving up to go there, but then pandemic came, so
Oh, okay. There
okay.
you go. All
More
right.
time to save money.
Yeah. Okay. Girls, are the Harry Potter movies very different from their books? Are they good adaptations? Maybe in the end they're just two different um, pieces of art. Yeah.
Mm.
But how was the transition made there?
I think, with the exception of the Goblet of Fire, the adaptations were very respectful and faithful. After the death of one of the characters, I said I don't like that author anymore, and I stopped reading. I don't know the end of the book. I just closed the book years ago and I didn't finish it. But I watched all the movies. So, yeah, especially I think the first three, they were really, really close. They brought up different things that added to the story, I think.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. Ali?
Yeah, I think the depiction of most characters there is just uncanny. So close to what you read. Some of them. I don't think the choice of actor for the second Dumbledore was a good choice. He's a brilliant actor, Michael Gambon. He is amazing, but I don't think he made, a very good Dumbledore. Maybe they should have cast somebody else. Apart from that, I think the choice for Snape was just absolutely perfect. It couldn't have been anybody else.
And he knew the secret from the first movie.
There you go. Yeah. He was just amazing.
I think something very interesting with this age we live in is because I think it's really hard to bring apart the characters from books and the movies, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I've watched the movies for both worlds we're talking here, and you can't think of Snape. I think it's very hard to think of Snape different from the actual actor. Yeah, it's Alan Rickman, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so his impersonation is just amazing. You know, it's just brilliant. It's just like Frodo. I think you can just look at Frodo and you think of Elijah Wood.
True.
Yeah, with
And
the,
Gandalf couldn't have been anybody else.
Oh.
exactly. But I think even more amazing when you see Magneto. And when I look at Magneto, I think he's like more badass because it makes me think of Gandalf. As a matter of fact, I have to be honest, right?
Indeed.
Yeah, and Saruman was, well, Dracula, right? So Lord Dracula, and
Yeah.
And Count Dooku
right,
in Star Wars.
exactly. Yeah. One curiosity with respect to Christopher Lee is that, well, it's twofold actually. The one I mentioned, heavy metal here, he was singing in a metal band until he was like in his 90s. It was just, dude, what's that? And apparently he's a descendant from Charlemagne, right? So as we say that in Portuguese, Carlos Magno, but is a true heir to the throne, right? Yeah, Carl the Great. That's just impressive.
And he met Tolkien in person, like.
Yeah,
they were not friends; they were acquaintances, but they talked. And Peter Jackson asked Christopher Lee many things to help guide him.
All right, that's brilliant. Yeah, something else that I also heard about, I don't know how it went, was that Tolkien met the Beatles, and there was a supposed Beatles made soundtrack to The Lord of the Rings, right? But it didn't work out. Yeah, but can you see that coming? No.
Can you imagine that?
Interesting. Could have been a musical. I think there is a musical of The Lord of the Rings. I don't know if in Broadway or West End.
Yeah.
I've never had the opportunity.
Okay, there you go. Something else. All right. And the very last thing for us to talk a little bit here, it's I like my good friend Tali Khluid. She's a subject to the Queen of the Queen, actually. Tali, would you talk about the places in the UK related to Tolkien or Harry Potter that one should pay a visit to when there?
Yeah, there's several. So obviously here in the UK, you will find places related to either Tolkien's life or to the books, not the films, because that's New Zealand. But here in the UK, you have his house in Oxford. You can't go in because you have people living in his house. It's actually a house.
Whoa.
People live there, but you know where it is because here in the UK, any house or flat where someone famous has lived receives a round blue plaque saying who lived there and when. So you can actually see the blue plaque and that's and it says he lived there between so and so years. So you can take a photo, outside the house. There is a petition, however, to turn that house into a museum. So and Ian McKellen was supporting the petition as well. So yes, you can take a photo outside. I actually used to work 5 minutes from that house.
What a dream.
Yeah, that was cool. In Oxford, you also have the Bodleian Library. So there, it's a library you have to pay to go in. But there you can see original manuscripts and drawings for the Lord of the Rings.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So you can see some there, and other medieval documents which inspired him to write his work. In Oxford, you also have a pub called the Eagle and Child, And that's where he used to meet C.S. Lewis for a pint of beer. So that's where they used to meet to talk about whatever they were doing.
Is that all in Oxford?
That's in Oxford. The Eagle and Child pub is in Oxford. Then out of Oxford, you can go to Birmingham. That's one of the places where he grew up. And Birmingham has 3 towers. And that some scholars reckon that the towers there inspired him to write about the 2 towers.
No.
They are, I wrote down the names of the towers. It's Edgbaston Waterworks Tower, Parrots Folly Tower, and the University Clock Tower in Birmingham. And the Shire apparently was inspired by the Warwickshire county villages in this country too. So the countryside of the UK. And actually, not very far from where I live, you have the village of Brill, which used to be called Bree Hill, which inspired him to write about Brie. So that's not far from where I live. It doesn't have much. It's really just a village with a windmill.
Okay.
It's nice. Yes. So that's these are some places you can visit here if you are a fan of Tolkien's.
Okay, so that's all in England. You don't have to go to Scotland or to Wales.
All England, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. And what about Harry Potter?
Harry Potter. Well, you can also go to Oxford. So the same day you go and visit the Tolkien places in Oxford, you can also visit a place there called Christchurch College. And that's where some of the scenes inside Hogwarts were filmed. The scenes where the dining hall is, where the kids have their meals. That's inside Christchurch College in London, in Oxford, sorry.
Okay.
Then you have several locations in London where Harry Potter was filmed. You have King's Cross train station. You have King's Cross train station and underground station. You don't want to go to the underground station. That has nothing to do with Harry Potter. It has the train station. That's where he goes to platform 9 3/4. So actually inside the station, they have built a wall and they have put half a trolley on that wall. So you can take a photo there as if you were going inside that wall, holding your trolley with your luggage. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. There's also the Leadenhall Market in London. That's where the Diagon Alley is in the films. So you can visit there. It's a market in London that is actually closed. There are lots of markets like that in London. Sorry. My sister calling me. She never calls me. Anyway, sorry about that. So there is also in London, you can also go to the studios, the Warner Brothers studios. Again, you have to pay. It's about £100 to go in. It's quite expensive.
Wow.
But yes, you can visit all the sets for the films as well. And, yeah, then if you want, you can go to Northern Ireland and visit the Durham Cathedral. That's where some of the scenes outside Hogwarts were filmed. There are actually many locations in the UK. So these are just some.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm really looking forward to visiting Northern Ireland. I think there are many beautiful places there. Londonderry, yeah. All right. So with that, you mean that Harry Potter was just basically the whole movie was shot in the UK?
Yeah. I believe so. Yeah,
No,
I believe so. At least external locations. Yeah.
Okay. So and probably these places are really crowded with people taking pictures and everything.
Yeah, not now.
Not now. All right.
Not now. But yes, they usually are. You have like a queue, you have a line of people waiting to take a photo at King's Cross Station, like holding the trolley. So I've never done it, but I know there is a queue. You have to book your visit to the Warner Brothers studios well in advance. Yeah, and Christchurch, you also have to pay to get in, Christchurch College. Yeah, but not the market.
Not the yeah, you don't have to pay the tuition, right, for the college. No. Okay, that's good. All the best. All right, very, very good. Okay, ladies, I would like you to make your final remarks, and thank you very much for joining on this talk here on the fantastic world, right? Tali, special thanks, Thais. And any final words, girls?
Yeah, don't judge a book by its movie.
Yeah.
No.
All right,
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
And read more, please.
Yeah, get your books and start reading. Tali, what about you?
From a teacher's perspective, read in English. Read it. It's going to improve your language skills. Period. Start from The Hobbit. Yeah, it's simpler in terms of language. Start from this baby here, and then just go from there. What I always tell my students: oh no, The Hobbit's too difficult. Fine, start from Harry Potter, no problem. Because you will be surprised how much you will understand, and you're going to feel proud of yourself.
Yes, and learn new things, right? So you just keep learning, regardless of the language you're having contact with, right? In Portuguese, we learn. In English, of course, yes. And there you see the beauty of the words. I think they add different colors, and you see adverbs and adjectives and all those things that teachers like. But I think that's pretty cool.
And another thing from especially Lord of the Rings, I obviously studied languages and literature at university, and something that annoyed me, something chronic, was how I had to guess what the authors meant by something they said in their books. And with Tolkien, it is what it is. You know, he never liked analogies or
allegories.
Allegories. No. So that's something that attracted me. I think that's the main point that attracted me in his books.
Okay. You don't have to see through things, right?
Language learners. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe this may prove well to say that Tolkien is a really contemporary writer, right? In spite of describing things differently.
Yeah.
It's a really nice style. So that's the tip of the day. Keep reading, right? Watch the movies, but reading is something really, really fun as well. Yeah. All right. So girls, I would like to say bye, right? And then you can wave goodbye, farewell. Don't farewell. I hope to see you, girls. No, I hope to see you in the nigh future.
Yes.
Yeah.
In person.
Please, over a cuppa. Or a nice English carrot cake.
Here?
There is some.
It's not good. No.
Don't disappoint me.
The one's better.
Empire cookies, maybe. Empire biscuits.
Yeah. We can do fish and chips.
Yes, fish and chips.
Even better.
Later tonight. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank